Clark Lee and Vanderbilt are all in the revshare NIL era. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Thanks for stopping by. Shout out to you everydayers. Without you guys, this show wouldn't be what it is. So I appreciate that. We are the Locked On Vandy podcast. We come at you every day, free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, and and we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Man, that's a pretty sweet deal. So today's episode is going to be pretty action-packed, pretty fast-moving. We're gonna dive into the Utah State game. It's a unique one. It's the first time in program history that these two teams are going to match up. That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup given who they just hired. Who's going to media days? They've officially released the list. Did an earlier episode about this, and I was slightly wrong. I apologize for that. That was more of a speculative list. I'm finding out, but the official list, the officially official list, is out. We'll talk about that, but first, man, Vanderbilt is all in on revshare and NIL. They are fired up. They're ready to roll. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I'm very excited that Vanderbilt has decided to step up and be a part of this, because the old way wasn't working. We don't care about football. We don't care about athletics. We just want to be a prestigious university. We don't care about anything else. Is a very antiquated way of thinking. It's a very, in a world where college is being looked at as less and less of an option. It used to be college was like, if you didn't go to college, like you were a complete and utter failure. That's not the case anymore. More people are going to trade schools. More people are getting associates and getting into the workforce. More people are realizing that experience is going to trump education most of the time. So universities have to find an edge. And I don't know if that has to do anything with what Vanderbilt decided to do on their stance on athletics, but whatever led to this is awesome. Maybe they got tired of being of losing all the time. They got tired of being terrible. I don't know what it is, but Clark Lee admitted. He said, "Listen, we fell behind." From an NIL standpoint, we paid the price for it. We didn't jump right in to the NIL era. We kind of tiptoed in, kind of stuck our toe in the water, and they went 2-10 and got smacked in the face. And it was bad. And so they missed out on a lot of high quality people. They lost a lot of high quality people that would have helped them win some football games. But they learned their lesson, and they went all in. Basketball has gone all in. Baseball starting to follow suit as well. But this is going to be a really, really fun thing. And the revshare thing, they're going to, they're all in on this whole new, and this is good, because this is, the shift in mindset, the shift in what college athletics is now is allowing Vanderbilt. It's allowing other teams too, but since it's a Locked On Vandy podcast, I'm going to talk to you about how it affects Vanderbilt. But it has allowed Vanderbilt to hit the reset button and say, hey, we want to be part of the SEC. We want to be competitive in the SEC, because otherwise, why are we here? Right. And so this is something that this is something organic that has been needing to happen with Vanderbilt. And I'm glad that that's the case. But Clark Lee had this to say. This was an article on SI with Joey Dwyer, who has been freaking crushing it, man. But Clark Lee had this to say: Candace and I are aligned on what it's going to take from a revshare standpoint to field a competitive team in our league. we got to kind of get a grip on how it's going to look within our league, what it's going to look like amongst our peers, and how we ensure that we maintain a strong position and strengthen our position in the league. So he not only wants to participate, he wants to be competitive in the SEC. He wants to make sure that when you look at revshare, when you look at all of these things, he wants to make sure that you talk about Vanderbilt, because there's a lot of possibilities within this, right? He also had this to say, and I'll bring it. We're certainly trying to develop these systems as quickly as we can so that we have a chance each year on year, to field the best team that we can possibly field. So that's and what he's talking about there is they're trying to, so they want to go all in, and they're still trying to figure out exactly how to do that and how they want to do that. Earl Bennett is leading the charge with that. I'm sure he has a team of guys in the finance and I don't know what the exact title is, but in finance and money and salaries and whatever. They have a team of people that are going to put together a plan. This is how we're going to do revshare. This is how we're going to do NIL. This is how we're going to partner with people. This is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to interact with the collective. This is how we're going to do this and that and the other. So there is, there's plenty, and I've talked about this before. There is a ton of opportunity in the city of Nashville with all the brands that exist here in Nashville. There is a lot of opportunity, and Clark Lee knows that. And that was one of the things one of his things that he talked to, Candace Story Lee about. That's one of the things he wanted to make sure that they got right, because they fell behind, because they weren't sure what they wanted to do. They weren't sure how they wanted to act and how they wanted to behave in the NIL world. They weren't sure that they even had the confidence to go out there and get somebody. But now they do. And they're going to go all in, and they're going to give it their best, and they're going to get the best that they could possibly get and build on that year in and year out. They did it coming out of 23. They got the best team that they could possibly get. It was good enough for a 7-6 record. They were 17 points away from probably being 10-2, and they were also a handful of points away from being 2-10 in 2024. But they had a more all-in approach to NIL. There was no rev share yet, but they had a more all-in approach to NIL, and they were able to field a competitive team. A team that not only won 7 games, but lost 6 games and only lost 2 of them by more than a touchdown. 4 of their losses were within a possession, a touchdown or less. A double overtime against Missouri, 3 points to Texas, and then I think it was 1 possession. There were some other games that was 1 possession. I'm not going to go through the schedule and tell you which ones were which, but they were able to do things last year because they made some momentum, right? And it was a catalyst. It was a catalyst in the turnaround, the overhaul, and it works. And they did it even more this coming season. So they go into 2025 with a more loaded roster than they had a year ago, with more confidence and the same structure throughout the program. This is absolutely what it should look like. And and Clark Lee also had this to say, I think the NIL layer and market value component will be interesting. I'm excited for the potential being in Nashville as the brand strengthens you locally. I think there's certainly opportunities for our guys that way. So he doesn't seem to think that the clearinghouse will be any sort of issue. The brands are going to market themselves, and Clark Lee knows, and I've been saying this all along, because Nashville's been trying to get an MLB team. They would love to have an NBA team. They would love to say, hey, Memphis, you don't need an NBA team. We'll take it from you. We'll support it, and we will go rabid over it. Like the MLS, Nashville SC, that following is insane. It's great. The NFL draft broke records for tourism and set the tone for draft. I think if it would have flopped in Nashville, the draft, I don't think the NFL would have gone on the tour that they've been going, where they just go to different NFL cities each year. I think if it didn't work in Nashville, I think they would have stopped doing it. But here we are. But Nashville goes crazy. Like the Predators, when they're good, Nashville's right behind it. So I guarantee you, if Vanderbilt is good, Nashville will rally behind it. I promise you they will, because and NIL deals will soon to follow. So that's the positive of going all in on that. That's the positive. That's forward thinking. They're going to aggressively pursue all of that. Right? They're going to pursue all of that. And Earl Bennett is the executive general manager. He heads the department of roster and finance. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So they're trying to develop these systems. They're trying to get some things in place. They're trying to quickly, like everybody else, they're trying to quickly analyze everything and put together a system that works. So I'm very excited about that. Something else I'm really pumped about is SEC Media Days. I think it's a great event. Who's going to Media Days? What's going to happen? We're going to talk about that next. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Yeah, because there's a lot going on in baseball, and this is a fun time of year because it is, there's a lot of cool stuff to bet on, some unique stuff to bet on, like soccer, golf, tennis, like all the sports you wouldn't even think about betting on. Here we are, right? You got baseball, golf, soccer, all that stuff. FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. And the way technology is and the way everything, technology and phones and whatever, you could probably do it while you're getting sunburned at the beach. You could probably do it while you're standing in the pool, wherever. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups. I do a lot of live stuff in the summer with baseball. I don't bet in the first inning. I let it get to the 6th or 7th, and then I try to bet it from there. But they have new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's amazing. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. So you're new to FanDuel? Well, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So one of the things that if you need a show to listen to, Chris Gordy is going to be at SEC Media Days. There's a whole bunch of hosts that are going to be at SEC Media Days. This one is not going to be there. That's okay. But if you need something fun to listen to, here we go. This is the show for you. So SEC Media Days is going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be well represented by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's getting kicked off on Monday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And the reason I say that is because one of the participants, I don't know, somebody you may have heard of, Diego Pavia, is going to be there. Randon Fontenette is going to be there, which I'm excited to see. He definitely deserves a spot. And of course, that's going to be a lot of fun. And Martel Hight is going to be there as well. And Martel Hight, I'm sure, is going to get a lot of questions about special teams, going to get a lot of questions about possibly playing on the offensive side of the ball as well. So I'm very, very pumped for those three guys to see what, I think the essence of Media Days is this. You figure out what your team leaders do in a high pressure situation, because it's a lot of pressure. It's sitting up there getting grilled by the national media. And this isn't like Big 12 Media Days where it's like a few tables, you're in an open room, and you're getting softballs lobbed to you, and and typically the media tries to take care of the players a little bit. But the more and more we get into this rev share and these guys making a ton of money, you're not going to see that much anymore. You're going to see these guys getting held accountable and getting tough questions, which is fine. These guys are going to have to learn how to deal with it. But this is the first test. Like, since busting with the boys, how's Diego Pavia going to respond to that? The first time he's been in the public eye since that interview. What's he going to say? Is he going to double down on some of the stuff he says? Is he going to walk it back, which I highly doubt he will? But what's going to happen with that? How does he handle himself at media days? Is he himself? Is he genuine? Is he full of confidence, full of brashness? Whatever Diego Pavia brings to the table, it's going to be fun. He's a walking soundbite. I'm excited to see what he has to offer. I'm excited to see how these team leaders respond in this situation. Randon Fontenette, we're going to get a glimpse into I'm sure he's going to get asked, what exactly do you do on this defense? What is your role? Because his role is unique. His role is not edge, where we know he's going to be rushing the pass a lot, or it's not free safety, where we know he's going to be roaming in the center of the field or corner. He's the star position, and a lot of people don't really know what a star is. But Randon Fontenette is a star. And I mean that in the position title sense and the fact that his ability level sense, right? And he's going to get a chance to answer for that. He's going to get a chance to really kind of showcase what he's all about. And this is also going to showcase to the NFL, hey, how do these guys because these are draft prospects, right? Martel Hight is going to be a draft prospect. I don't know where, how, when, whatever. But this is going to be a good media evaluation for the next level. Diego Pavia, how do you handle yourself? How do you handle yourself after? I guess you could call it controversy. I don't really know if it's controversy or not, but it is whatever it is. He's going to handle himself. And Randon Fontenette, we don't know much about him. Love to get to know him on that kind of stage and see what he's all about, and get an idea of what the Steve Gregory era is going to be like. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Clark Lee, of course, how does it's going to be a totally different tone there as well. With a lot of these guys, they're coming in a little bit more elevated reputation. I guess that's what you call it. They come in with higher expectations. They come in with a little bit of success under their belt. Like, how do they handle that? Just the whole group, Clark Lee and the three players. How do they meander through Radio Row? What kind of interviews do they do? How does Clark Lee, how does he come off in the media? And we're going to dive more into this as we get the week. But how does he function? What does he lead with? What is his opening statement? What's the message he wants to get across about Vanderbilt football? Does that echo through Pavia, Fontenette, and Hight? And I'm sure he's going to get questions. Why is Eli Stowers not here? He's going to get questions on why is Langston Patterson not here? He's going to get those questions. But it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, how much of this is how many questions are you going to get about Jerry Kill, the overhaul, how he did it going from 2-10 to 7-6, and how he intends on keeping it going? All of that stuff. What has changed from 23 to 24? What has changed from that to 24 to 25? What has changed this last offseason from last offseason to this? What are they doing differently, if anything? Continuity, all this stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really excited to get a glimpse of how these guys are going to operate under that microscope and with that pressure cooker. And it's going to be a little bit, and SEC Media Days is a little bit on the lighter side too, for the most part. And I'm sure Diego Pavia is going to get a lot of questions on that Bussin' with the Boys interview. He just is. It made waves. It made headlines. He took shots at the Big Ten. There wasn't a whole lot of people he left untouched. I know Tennessee media is gonna and Alabama media is gonna come to him and ask him questions about stuff he said. Is he gonna double down? How's he gonna respond to that? All of that stuff is going to be very, very interesting. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm excited about I'm excited about a matchup that Vanderbilt has in week 4. against Utah State, or is it week 5? It is on September 27th. So that's week 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's week 5 against Utah State. Why is that matchup exciting? What should we know about it? Well, I'm going to tell you next. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Thank you to the everydayers. Shout out to you guys. You make this show what it is. So be sure to check us out. Be sure to check us out every day. Like, subscribe at Locked On Vandy on social media. Just follow us. Do your thing. At Locked On SEC is a great listen, and the host, or actually the laundry list of really good shows that are on the Locked On Network that represent the SEC. All 15 of them. You're already listening to this one, so all other 15 of them are great listens. You should check out all of our hosts. So, game that I'm excited about. Okay, Media Days is fun, by the way. It's fun to watch. I'm excited to see all the first-year quarterbacks. I'm excited to kind of see the buzz around Arch Manning, how he handles it. What is Tennessee looking like? They don't even bring Joey Aguilar. Like, what is going on with Tennessee? Like, how are they faring? All the people on Vanderbilt's schedule. Like, I'm interested to kind of see what they're feeling coming into this season. Like, Missouri's going to be an interesting one because they didn't bring their quarterback, and he's not been named the starter yet. But we know it's going to be Bo Pribula. We just know they went out and got him, especially from the portal. They offered Diego Pavia $4 million from the portal, allegedly. So it's I'm very curious to see what's going on with them, Alabama, how they handle all the people coming in and talking smack about them from Diego Pavia and Thomas Castellanos, and I'm sure a whole host of other people are also talking plenty of trash on Alabama. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch all those storylines. SEC Media Days is fun, not only for your team, but it's just fun to kind of sit back and watch with no pressure, watch the other teams go. Like, how does Georgia handle coming back, being SEC champions, but losing? Texas, how do they handle that? Not just Arch Manning, but everyone. How do they handle all the preseason hype? Florida, what's it looking like there? Like, all these, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. What's also going to be interesting, there's a game against Utah State. And I am very, very intrigued by that. Why? Because first time in program history that these two teams are squaring off against each other. So here's some keys to success against Utah State, right? And here's why it's interesting. Because usually it's like, it's Utah State. They're not very good. It should be a win. Why are we talking about Utah State? Well, point number one, they hired Bronco Mendenhall this offseason. What do we know about Bronco Mendenhall? Well, here's what we know. He was at BYU for a while. He was successful. Then he went to Virginia. Got Virginia into the conference title game in the ACC, a place that they had never been. And Virginia has not been relevant in the sport of football since the Barber twins went there and they beat Florida State. Like, they really haven't been relevant. And then Bronco Mendenhall comes in, they get to the ACC title game, and they're relevant for a couple of years after that. Then he leaves, or he retires, or gets fired, or I forget how he left. But Utah State decided, hey, we need a really good coach, and Bronco Mendenhall is the guy. So this is why it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be as easy as everyone thinks it is. Bronco Mendenhall is a good coach. He's a great coach. I'm a huge fan of Bronco Mendenhall. I think he has a knack for turning programs around and getting them to play above their head, getting them to play above their current level, better than they are, right? He's well coached. So the first key to success, Vanderbilt's going to have to come out sharp. And I know you're probably looking at that first point and saying, well, no kidding. They have to come out sharp. Well, what are you going to say? They got to score more points to win? They got to score more points than Utah State? That's the first key? Well, I wish it were that simple, but it's just not that simple. Because you see a game like that on the schedule, and this is human nature. You see that on the schedule and you're like, it's just Utah State. We should roll. The expectation is you beat the crap out of them. The expectation is you dominate. And you outscore them by 40, 50 points. And you empty the bench. That's the expectation. And that expectation sometimes can be counterproductive. That expectation can also lead to complacency, to lead to we're going to take our foot off the gas because we don't really need to. It's going to be okay. We can walk out there and beat Utah State. That was the same mentality that they took into Atlanta last year. And what happened? Georgia State beat them. Georgia State finished almost dead last in the Sun Belt. They were awful. They won 3 games. One of them was against Vanderbilt. Why? Read number 1. Come out sharp, and you should be okay. Guess what Vanderbilt didn't do against Georgia State? They did not come out sharp. Why? They had a terrible week of practice. They had it in the bag. They didn't think they needed to work. But you always do. You play to a standard. You play to a standard. They didn't come out sharp. They paid the price. Guarantee you, these leaders aren't going to let that happen again, or they better not if they want to win this game. Because Bronco Mendenhall is the type of coach that if you don't, he's going to beat you. Because they're going to be well coached. They're not going to beat themselves. They may not be very good this year, but that won't be for long. But I can tell you this. They may not be very talented, but they're not going to beat themselves. So if you don't come out sharp, they can make you pay. Football's that kind of type of game. All right, offensively, they need to focus on execution. They need to play to a standard. They don't need to worry about who's on the other side of the ball. They need to play to a standard. They need to focus on execution, and they need to execute from play 1 all the way through to the end of the game. Execute at a high level no matter who is in the game, right? Anytime you look at a game of this caliber, and I mean no offense to any Utah State fan that's watching this, but this game is not a circled game on the schedule here. It's just not. First time in program history these two teams have faced off. Not really a whole lot of excitement for this game, really. Honestly. There's not a whole lot of urgency for this game. But I think if you're Vanderbilt, I think you got to treat it that way. If you think you're going to win 8-9 games, you better be treating this one like it's Alabama. You better focus on execution. There's no doubt. If Vanderbilt comes out sharp and executes offensively to their standard, they'll win by 50 points. They're that much better than Utah State. But it's when they're not focused, it's when they're not sharp, when they're sloppy, they're not executing well, they're missing easy plays, and they're just sloppy all around. That's a recipe for disaster. Do what you do and do it well offensively. There's no and we'll get more in depth on their depth chart when it comes game week for that. How specifically how you need to attack them. But honestly, if you just execute and you do what you do, it shouldn't matter. Do what you do. They can't stop you, right? And defensively, man, they're going to be in new schemes. They're going to be trying to figure some things out offensively. It's a new staff. This team's just going to be trying to figure it out. Don't let them. Come after them. Be aggressive. Execute. But don't let them get comfortable and figure it out. They let Georgia State get comfortable and figure out that they could run the ball, and they were hitting some deep shots. They realized that they could pick on Colby Taylor, and they did. They realized that they could get us out of our communication and pick on us with deep shots. You cannot let a team like that, a team that's well coached. Del McGee's a good coach. Georgia State was a terrible team last year, but they were well coached. They just didn't have the talent to win. But they did the right things. They just couldn't win. Utah State's going to be the same way. Don't let them get comfortable and figure things out. Just don't do it. And they'll never figure it out, or at least that week. They may figure it out later, but you just don't let them figure it out. You don't let them get comfortable. That's what you got to do. Well, what I got to do is get out of here. It was fun, as always. I love that Vanderbilt's all in on revshare and NIL. I'm excited for media days, and this Utah State game is one you should not overlook just because it's Utah State and they were 4-8 last year. They weren't very good. It doesn't matter. You got a new coaching staff. That coaching staff had nothing to do with their previous success or lack thereof. So, we'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Remember, behave yourselves. Like, subscribe, follow the show, all of that stuff. And we'll see you back here next time. Peace.